Hey guys, check it out. So when I started doing this video, it became a massive project. So I'm gonna go ahead and break it up into a couple of different videos. But while you're watching this one, I'm gonna go for a ride on the new 9bot scooter. So we'll see you soon. I'm here in the newly refurbished lighting setup of the studio. Thanks to Potato Jet for coming by and spending some time designing the light strategy here that you can see behind me. No shadow cutting through my neck here, and it just looks more appealing. So check out Potato Jet if you haven't already, because that guy knows what he's talking about. One of the things I get asked a lot is, how long does it take to shoot a project? And the short answer is, it depends. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Everything from the concept, the type of project it is, the location, how much money you have to shoot. All of those things, when taken together, factor into how long it's going to take. But a great way to do that is to work out your schedule. And now, if you watched the last video, I talked about breaking down a script. And that process involves going scene by scene through your script and highlighting every element that you could possibly have for that scene, from cast to props to sounds. And we do that to make sure that on the day of that shoot, when that scene is being shot, that we have the things we need to make it happen. So once you've completed that entire process, it's time to take those broken down scenes and insert them into your scheduling software. So let's jump into it. For this video, I'm gonna demonstrate the process using Movie Magic Scheduling, and to keep it light, I decided to grab a bunch of scenes from the Coen Brothers script for The Big Lebowski, because there's no reason why this shouldn't be fun, right? Right? There's nobody here. Okay, so you can see we're in Movie Magic Scheduling, but there's nothing there yet. So what we need to do is create a new schedule. We'll go from the template. We'll just use the default template. This is the interface, and so we'll go ahead and import now. You can see here, there is a file called lebowski.sex. I am not being crafty here. That is actually from Final Draft's Tagger program. It is called a scheduling export. And it's going to go ahead and go through the process. And now it has imported all the scenes from Final Draft. Now you can see we have our breakdown sheet. We know this is scene number 1. I titled it Nowheresville because it doesn't really give a location in the description. And what we do know is that we hear the song Tumbling Tumbleweeds and a voiceover. So you can be as descriptive as you need to so that you can remember what it is you're trying to do. And then our location, because we don't really know, we'll just call it a Los Angeles hillside. And you can see here that there's 1 page and 0/8. And we'll come back to this at a later date, and I'll explain exactly why it breaks it down into 8ths and how many pages. We do know that the stranger's doing a voiceover in the scene, but he doesn't actually show up on camera, so he doesn't necessarily need to be there. In fact, probably won't be there because there's no actors in the shot, and that's a good time to use your second unit. In this case, we haven't created any units yet, but if we just assume that we'll put our second unit in, they can actually go and shoot that while we're doing our other stuff that actually includes actors, where the Coen brothers are actually directing the dude or some of the other actors, because we don't need them for these shots. Okay, I could continue to go on through all of these scenes, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what the process is. So now, if we take a look at our strip board is just your list of scenes. We can start to organize these in a way that makes sense. We know that Nowheresville doesn't require any actors. It can be our second unit, so we can shoot that at the very same time that our first unit, that would be the Coen brothers and Roger Deakins and Jeff Bridges. They could be shooting the Ralphs at the same time. We know that Ralph's is probably only going to allow 1 day to shoot, so we definitely need to do those together. There's no way we can go back to a grocery store and potentially shut it down and shut down the parking lot on 2 different days. So we definitely put those scenes together. now we have 3 scenes that take place at the dude's bungalow, and only one of them is exterior night, so we know we need that one to be at nighttime. The other 2 could conceivably be during the day and just block out the windows. But here is the rub. Because all of the scenes that we used for this example are nighttime, presumably we are going to shoot at night for several days to complete this schedule. So it would make sense that these would actually take place at night. I'm just showing as an example. Now I've grouped those 3 together because we don't know if we can come back to that location. So we definitely want to shoot there until we're done and then move on to our next location, which in this case happens to be Crane Jackson's Fountain Street Theater. It's a 2-page scene. It's probably going to require at least one night. In a big Hollywood movie, it would probably be a couple of nights. On a more indie level, we might have to shoot all 2 pages in one night and move on. The rest of our scenes all take place at the Sellers house, Arthur Digby Sellers house. And now, although this one says residential area, we know it's a residential area outside of their house. So we know it's an exterior night shot. And we know that the front door, it's nighttime. If they're standing at the front door ringing the doorbell, we're going to see that it's nighttime. Definitely want to shoot that at night. Also, during the attack on the Corvette and then the dude's car, we know it's outside as well. Here's the interesting one. Donnie is inside the dude's car when the car gets attacked. Well, it says interior night, but one thing we have to be aware of is that a car has windows all the way around. So that's something we definitely want to group with the exterior scenes, because we know that it's definitely nighttime. We'll definitely be able to see that it's nighttime, and it only makes sense to shoot it with the exterior stuff. The same thing with the interior car shot when they're driving away after the windows have been broken, although this could definitely be done on its own day because we don't need to see the location that they were at for the rest of them. The only interior we have is the living room scene where the dude and Walter confront little Larry about the homework. And now it is possible in this case that we could black out the windows and shoot that during the daytime as well. But because we have all of these exteriors at night also, and we don't know if we can come back to the seller's house, we would definitely want to group that all together. So let's assume that we have all the money in the world and we're only going to shoot one location a day. We would want to insert day breaks where we can. Let's see. Let's assume that our second unit is going to shoot our opening shot with no actors while everybody else is shooting at Ralph's. We got 2 4/8 or 2.5 pages to cover that day. So we'll call that our first night of shooting. Day and night. And let's also assume that we can only shoot in the dude's bungalow one time. So we would create our second day, and that's 4 1/8 pages. That's a lot of shooting. And let's assume that Crane Jackson's Fountain Street Theater can only be visited one time. Let's also assume that we can only shoot at the seller's house one time. So that's our 4 days. Now we still have the dude's car left over. That's a driving shot. So we'll pick that up on our 5th day. We have 12 scenes in 5 days. Now, this schedule is not exactly realistic, but I wanted to illustrate exactly how the process goes of building your schedule. So you can see on each day, it gives you your date, how many pages, and then your time estimate. And that time estimate comes from your breakdown sheet. When you start to have meetings with the director or directors, in this case, and the cinematographer, they'll start to come up with the number of shots they need to complete the scene. And based on that, we'll start to estimate how many hours it's going to take to shoot each scene. And you can see here, each scene has its own estimated time, and this will automatically total it up. That'll give you however many hours you need for 2.5 pages. and then for 4 1/8 pages, etc., it is very possible that with something like this, you would actually need another day and it would look more like this. And now you would have 1 2/8 of a page to shoot one day and then 2 7/8 of a page to shoot the second day. Again, we're just trying to illustrate what it takes to shoot it. It very rarely is as simple as one scene one day, one scene one day. Generally, it would look more like this, where we finish at the dude's bungalow and the whole crew will move to Crane Jackson's Fountain Street Theater and begin setting it up. If you're lucky, you've already sent some of your crew forward to begin prepping for that changeover. And when you do, you can get ahead of the curve and some of the work is already done before the main crew and the actors show up. You could do a company move and estimate, let's just say it's going to take 45 minutes to drive to the next location. Well, we'll do a company move of 45 minutes. That might be the time when you have them drive there and then lunch is waiting. And so they have lunch and then immediately go back to work. I mean, there's so many variables that at this point, at this stage in the scheduling process, it's a little bit tricky to try and estimate exactly how long it's going to take. But this gives you kind of a working basis for the procedure of scheduling. So I definitely recommend that you work with the software if you have it. There are several other companies who are putting out software now. Hopefully that was a pretty good primer for scheduling. To be honest, it takes a lot of practice, and if you could find somebody who can work with you on your first couple of attempts, that will make your life a lot easier. It does get a lot more intense, and when you're dealing with software like Movie Magic Scheduling, it's so customizable and so robust. There are so many features that I couldn't even begin to show you in a video of this length. It's definitely a process. It takes practice. You're gonna have to do it to learn it. That is the one for sure thing that I can tell you about it. Do some research, find out which one of those software packages speaks to you, and then just go from there. Write your script, break it down, put it into your software, schedule it, see how long it's gonna take. If you need to allow more time on your next go round, that's not a big deal. You know, it's all about the process and really the end result, regardless of whether or not you scheduled it perfectly the first time, it's all about the learning and becoming better at your skill. So I appreciate you for taking the time. So as I said in the first video, I'm gonna start doing some creative process videos where I talk to other filmmakers and content creators, and hopefully some of the stuff they share will seep into you, will help your process, maybe make you a better filmmaker, or maybe just give you some fresh ideas. And that's what it's all about, is fresh ideas. So hit subscribe, come back often. I love to see you. I can't see you, but if I could, I would love to see you. And leave some comments. I don't know how I'm doing. Nobody said anything yet. You tell me. I don't know. You know how to YouTube.